The gleaming conference room of Harrison Global was filled with the usual suspects. My father Richard Harrison, my stepmother Diana in her ostentatious jewelry, and the board members who had spent years dismissing me as nothing more than Richard's daughter from his unfortunate first marriage. Ah, Alexandra. Diana's perfectly lipsticked mouth curved into a practiced smile. Since you're here, be a dear and get everyone coffee. The real executives need to discuss important matters. I smoothed down my understated theory suit, worth more than Diana's entire designer wardrobe, though she'd never know the difference between quality and flash, and nodded quietly. If only they knew that while they sipped their lattes, my hedge fund Phoenix Capital had been systematically acquiring Harrison Global shares through a complex web of shell companies. Of course, Diana. The usual orders. Make sure mine's sugar-free, she called after me. And hurry back with those reports from the filing room. The board needs to review our position before the shareholders' meeting. Little did they know that I already knew every detail of Harrison Global's position, including the devastating information that would be revealed in exactly 1 hour. My phone buzzed as I walked to the executive kitchen. A message from my COO. Final share purchase confirmed. We now control 51%. Ready when you are. I smiled, thinking of the documents waiting in my real office. The penthouse suite of Phoenix Tower, where I controlled billions in assets while they thought I was filing papers and fetching coffee. Still playing secretary? My stepbrother James smirked as he passed me in the hallway. You know, if you'd actually gone to business school like Dad suggested, you might have made something of yourself. If he only knew that while he was partying through his MBA, I had built one of the most successful hedge funds in the country. Every holiday dinner where they mocked my modest job, I was orchestrating billion-dollar deals. The coffee cart was already prepared. I'd instructed the actual kitchen staff to have everything ready. After all, timing was crucial today. My phone buzzed again, this time from my legal team. SEC filings complete. Ownership change documents ready for distribution. Alexandra. Diana's voice carried down the hallway. Where's that coffee? And don't forget the quarterly reports. I checked my watch. In exactly 45 minutes, they would learn that the daughter they'd relegated to coffee duty now owned their company. The reports they wanted were already in my briefcase, along with something else. Proof of James's embezzlement, Diana's unauthorized personal expenses, and my father's creative accounting. 3 years of careful investigation, all leading to this moment. As I arranged the coffee cups on the silver tray, I thought about all the board meetings where they'd treated me like a servant. The family dinners where Diana and James boasted about their executive positions while dismissing my clerical work. Your father built this company from nothing, Diana loved to remind me. It's a shame you never had the capability to contribute anything meaningful to his legacy. Oh, how wrong she was. I hadn't just contributed to the legacy, I was about to own it completely. My phone lit up with another message, this time from my PR team. Media outlets standing by. Story breaks in 60 minutes. I picked up the coffee tray, balancing it carefully as I had done hundreds of times before. But today would be different. Today the coffee server would become the owner and the real executives would learn exactly who they'd been underestimating. After all, revenge like good coffee is best served hot. I entered the boardroom with practiced subservience, distributing coffee with the efficiency they'd come to expect from their glorified servant. Diana barely glanced up as I placed her sugar-free latte in front of her. Now then, my father began, about the mysterious share acquisitions we've been tracking. Yes, James interrupted, eager to showcase his supposed expertise. Someone's been buying up significant blocks through various shell companies. But don't worry, I've got our best people investigating. I bit back a smile, thinking of how those best people had consistently failed to trace the purchases back to Phoenix Capital. The complex network of holding companies I'd created had kept them chasing shadows for months. The quarterly reports, Alexandra. Diana snapped her fingers. We need them now. Of course, I replied, opening my briefcase. But perhaps we should discuss the ownership changes first. The room fell silent. My father's brow furrowed. What do you mean? I pulled out a stack of documents, my heart racing with anticipation. As of 9 o'clock this morning, Phoenix Capital owns 51% of Harrison Global's shares. Phoenix Capital? James scoffed. That's impossible. They're one of the most secretive hedge funds in the country. Nobody even knows who runs it. Actually, I smiled, removing my employee badge and placing my CEO credentials on the table. They do now. The silence that followed was absolute. Diana's coffee cup clattered against its saucer as her hand began to shake. This is a joke, my father finally managed. You're a filing clerk. No, I corrected him. I'm the founder and CEO of Phoenix Capital. The filing clerk position was just a convenient way to observe the company's operations firsthand. I pressed a button on my phone and the boardroom screens lit up with Phoenix Capital's portfolio, billions in assets, successful takeovers across multiple industries, and now, controlling interest in Harrison Global. While you were having me fetch coffee, I continued, I was building an empire. Every time you sent me to the filing room, I was gathering evidence of financial misconduct that would make any shareholder very nervous. I distributed another set of documents, detailed reports of James's embezzlement, Diana's misappropriated funds, and my father's questionable accounting practices. You can't prove any of this, James sputtered, but his face had gone pale. Actually, I smiled, I can prove all of it. 3 years of documented evidence, all properly filed with the SEC this morning. Diana stood up, her designer heels wobbling slightly. Richard, do something. My father was staring at the documents, his face ashen. The shareholders' meeting begins in 15 minutes, I confirmed, where I'll be announcing a complete restructuring of Harrison Global's management team, starting with the immediate termination of the current executive board. The PR team's message flashed on my phone, story breaking now. Major networks picking it up. James was frantically scrolling through news alerts on his phone. This can't be happening. It already has, I replied, taking the seat at the head of the table, my rightful place as majority shareholder. Consider this your exit interview. After all, some people need more than hot coffee to wake up to reality. The shareholders' meeting that followed was a masterpiece of corporate theater. As I stood at the podium watching my family squirm in their soon-to-be former executive seats, I couldn't help but savor the moment. Ladies and gentlemen, I began, as the new majority shareholder of Harrison Global, I'd like to address some concerning discoveries about current management practices. Diana's face had turned an interesting shade of green as I clicked through slides detailing her creative expense reports. The private jet trips to Paris labeled as client meetings, the spa retreats categorized as corporate training. This is a witch hunt, James tried to interrupt, but his voice cracked as I brought up documentation of his offshore accounts. Interesting choice of words, I replied smoothly. Shall we discuss the $3 million that mysteriously disappeared from the development fund? The money that coincidentally matches the exact amount you used to buy your Aspen vacation home. The shareholders leaned forward, their expressions shifting from shock to anger as I methodically exposed years of mismanagement and fraud. My father sat silently watching his empire crumble. His phone buzzed constantly, probably his country club friends already hearing the news about Harrison Global's dramatic ownership change. In light of these findings, I continued, Phoenix Capital will be implementing immediate management changes. All current executive positions are terminated, effective immediately. You can't do this to us, Diana finally exploded, standing up. We're family. I turned to face her directly. Family? Like when you told the board I was mentally unstable because I questioned your expense reports. Or when you had security escort me out of last year's Christmas party because I wasn't executive material? My phone lit up with messages from global business news outlets requesting interviews about the takeover. The story was going viral. The coffee-fetching daughter who secretly built a hedge fund empire and bought out her own family's company. Clear out your offices by 5 p.m., I instructed them. Security will supervise to ensure no documents are misplaced. James tried one last desperate move. Dad, you can't let her do this. This is your company. Was his company, I corrected. Tao, it's mine. Just like the country club membership you all loved to flaunt. Phoenix Capital acquired it last month. Consider your memberships revoked. Over the next few hours I watched through security feeds as they packed up their offices. Diana's designer handbags stuffed with personal items, James's sports memorabilia stripped from his walls, my father's awards and photos boxed up by corporate security. 1 month later, I sat in my father's former office, now redesigned to my taste, reviewing Harrison Global's transformation. The stock price had soared once the financial cleanup was announced. The board had been replaced with competent professionals who understood that merit mattered more than family ties. "Your stepmother is in the lobby," my assistant informed me. "She's demanding to speak with you about her pension." I glanced at the security feed. Diana's designer outfit looked slightly worn now, her jewelry less flashy. Amazing how quickly things change when the family money tap gets turned off. "Tell her she can submit her request through HR," I replied. Like any other terminated employee. The company cafeteria still served excellent coffee, though I never fetched it anymore. Sometimes I'd pass by and remember all those years of playing the submissive stepdaughter, building my power while they underestimated me at every turn. My father tried calling occasionally, leaving messages about family reconciliation and finding a compromise. I kept them all filed away with the evidence of their fraud, reminders of why some family ties are better off severed. The nameplate on my desk read, Alexandra Harrison Sue, but it was the smaller one reading Founder Phoenix Capital that gave me real satisfaction. After all, I hadn't just taken over their company, I'd built something far greater while they were busy making me serve coffee. The final twist? I'd bought their homes too through another shell company. Now they paid rent to the daughter they'd dismissed as nothing more than a glorified secretary. Sometimes I'd visit the boardroom where it all started, remembering Diana's condescending smile as she ordered her sugar-free latte. The coffee cups were still there, but now they served a different purpose, reminding everyone that success doesn't announce itself with designer labels and arrogance. Sometimes it serves coffee, bides its time, and builds an empire right under your nose.